still have to ask her, out of love, what does she know, so that we'll know all the facts, so that we're not manipulated, so that our egos, or not our egos, but our emotions are not manipulated, and that the Shabazz family is not manipulated regarding the death of young Malcolm Shabazz, because that means his killers are still out there. Meaning that those 2 Mexicans arrested may very well just be some patsies and scapegoats that they're offering up to us. But if the FBI followed him and grabbed him off the plane in February during the week of the Super Bowl, the weekend, then know that they were following him in Mexico. Know that they were following him in California. As he said on his Facebook page, that his Facebook page had been hacked. There were those that were hacking his phone. So know that wasn't the Mexican authorities. And if you have an American citizen killed in Mexico, where's the response from the United States government that's willing and ready to send in troops to his country overseas if an American is killed overseas? Yet your president hasn't said a word. But yet if Brother Malcolm Shabazz had come out and said that he was gay, I'm sure the president of the United States would have tweeted him and said, we got your back, Malcolm Shabazz. If he would have come out and tweeted that he was gay and that his grandfather was gay before he died, and his grandfather in this new book, The Reinvention of Malcolm X, and you see the position of Malcolm sitting with his legs crossed, and then you get that dog and thug, Michael Eric Dyson, coming out talking about that Malcolm X was gay now, that they could then rally the gay community around Malcolm X, then you would have not been able to keep Obama, Michelle Obama, or Barack Obama from championing the death of Malcolm Shabazz. But yet it's been a silence. But this writer, Kirsten West, has never asked why President Obama has been silent. While so-called civil rights leaders from Al Sharpton to Michael Eric Dyson to Cornel West and Tavis Smiley to Ben Jealous, why have they been silent regarding the death? Why has Kathy Hughes been silent regarding the death of Malcolm Shabazz? If they truly love Malcolm X. But let me give you this clip of Minister Farrakhan. Then I'll open up the lines, take your thoughts, questions, comments, because I'll come back tomorrow, go a little deeper on this, because the memorial service is taking place tomorrow. But I thank those that have been consistent and persistent with asking the questions and willing to go beyond the surface in terms of this misinformation and disinformation that's being offered up to us, and ask the real questions that have to be asked out of love so that the truth will come out. But it's not going to come out if we, of course, withdraw, if we, of course, coil up as opposed to opening up and asking the necessary questions, however painful they may be to those on the West Coast, to those in the movement that Brother Malcolm Shabazz, the grandson of Malcolm, was working with, as he was working with Dr. Randy Short, working with former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney, working with Wayne Matson, working with even Etan, the brother that used to play for the Wizards, who, when he stood up against the war, of course, the NBA told him, sit down and shut up, Etan Thomas. But yet when you get Jason Collins coming out tweeting, then your president says he got his back. But I bet you if Etan Thomas came out and talked about Obama dropping them drones, using them drones as he did 24 hours yesterday or last night while you were sleeping, killing men, women, and children again. If Etan Thomas came out and tweeted about that or wrote about that, then again, the NBA would be coming after him, as Tavis Smiley said recently that President Barack Obama has been going after his sponsors, his corporate sponsors, and telling them to stop supporting Tavis Smiley's show, because Tavis Smiley now has become more conscious of Obama policies, whereas before he didn't want to be conscious of it. And this is what we see taking place. But let me give you this clip of Minister Farrakhan talking about the death of Malcolm Shabazz. And then, as I said before, ask the question, where is the writer, Kirsten West? And I'll ask many of you to go on Facebook, use the social network media page, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has asked us to do, intelligently, of course, and press her and News One and ask, what are your real motives here regarding the death of Malcolm Shabazz, and why aren't you asking the questions about this young man's death as much as you're trying to go back and pull up old videotape of Minister Farrakhan meeting with Betty Shabazz, old videotape of Minister Farrakhan sitting down with Attila Shabazz on 60 Minutes, but you're not asking for 60 minutes or playing 60 minutes of what Minister Farrakhan really has said about the death of young brother Malcolm Shabazz, and asking the question, as I said before, regarding Malcolm Shabazz and the FBI and all of the other questions around the death of Malcolm Shabazz as just an ordinary brother like myself has dared to step up and do. And I know there are those that are listening that work for the federal authorities, that work for Homeland Security, the FBI, that don't want me asking those kind of questions. But it's incumbent upon us that we ask those questions. But let me give you this message from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This is only 3 minutes and 47 seconds. But if you want to hear the message in its entirety, which he delivered last Saturday, I did post it on the Facebook page, but it's on YouTube that you can pull it up and listen for yourself at www.noi.org, finalcall.org, or you can go to my Facebook page. But I thought I'd share this with you because I don't think you're going to hear any of these other nationally syndicated radio stations touching this subject and this conversation. They rather dumb you down and numb you down right now. We got so much real fights in front of us. This should be a summer of freedom rides when the Supreme Court is hearing cases and not voting on cases, but will be delivering on cases from affirmative action to the voting rights bill to other bills that will affect us as a people. And yet most of this black misleadership is not even informing you about what's going on. They're going to rather get you tied up and connected and socially engineered with this Trayvon Martin case that's about to go down. You'll be socially engineered and socially steered as you were during the O.J. Simpson trial. But know that when they do that, there's something bigger going on. Not that I'm minimizing the death of Trayvon Martin, but we've lost a lot of Trayvons, Avons, and Davons in our community. And you haven't shed a tear for them, nor have you come out for a vigil for them, and nor have you gone to court to fight for their mothers and their loved ones around their death. But in this case, they've now decided to take from Sanford, Florida, and make it a poster child between the black community and the white community, the black community and the Jewish community, since Zimmerman is Jewish, to manipulate you. And at the same time, you'll have the ADL, you'll have the Southern Poverty Law Center with Morris Dees and others now for this showdown that's about to go down, that you want to get a front row seat because it's going to go down this year in 2013 for sure. But let me give you this message from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan from this past Saturday. This is the segment where he's talking about the death of young Malcolm Shabazz. So listen to this message, and we'll be back with more of this State of the City.
I was asked in a tweet whether I had offered condolences to the Malcolm Shabazz family over the loss of Malcolm Shabazz, the son of Sister Kubila Shabazz. I sent word to the family through our international representative, Brother Akbar Muhammad, who has contact with Alyasha Shabazz. He didn't speak with her directly, but I gave him a message for the family, and he said he put it on her answering service. I hope that she received it. If not, the message is simply that we, in the Nation of Islam, send our deepest condolences and sympathies to the family. But I want to say to Black America that the same FBI that hatched the plot to divide Brother Malcolm from his teacher and the Nation of Islam, that same FBI that worked to destroy black organizations and black leadership, that same FBI was dogging the footsteps of this young potential giant. Though he had a troublesome young life, he was growing more and more into the spirit of his grandfather as a warrior for justice for our people. A few months ago, as he was on his way to Iran to attend a conference
in the Outback, we've got a real taste.
Hollywood's depicting Muslims as terrorists and planting the seed of hatred in the hearts of people all over the world for Muslims, he was arrested at the airport by the FBI and not permitted to attend that conference. As we listened and read his remarks concerning his persecution, it seemed to me and to us that this young man was growing into a great helper of the struggle of black people in America and oppressed people around the world. We are not clear on what happened in Mexico. But you know, when the enemy wants to get rid of you, one of the best places and times to do it is when you are away from your base. May God comfort the family and us in this loss, but at the same time, we really should look at the hypocrisy of a government that would place the picture of Brother Malcolm on a stamp as though they really admire him, and there's been a change of heart, and now they love the man that they once loved to hate. And then at the same time, as his picture is on a stamp, they worked to destroy the only remaining male member to carry on his legacy and his name.
Welcome back, welcome back. Those were the words from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Let me open up the line. Take your thoughts, questions, comments again. The memorial service for young brother Malcolm Shabazz is taking place in Harlem tomorrow. And we'll continue, as I said, God willing, tomorrow to be joined by my brother, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. But I think we got to continue to ask the questions, press and stress those till we get the answers. And again, expand the envelope, because this rabbit hole may run very deep regarding the death of this young brother. And if they did that to him, who was the firstborn grandson of Brother Malcolm, then it's a miracle that the young brother lived to be 28 years old, because know that they had, before he was born, in their minds, obviously, to kill them before he grew. And he grew to be 28 years old and had come into his own. So let me open up the line. Take your thoughts, questions, comments, 410-761-1592. But this becomes an indictment on all of our black organizations, because if we couldn't protect Malcolm, the grandfather, and we failed to protect Malcolm, the grandson, what does that say to the other heirs of our great movements as well? What does that say to the children of Dr. King? What does that say to the children of those who struggled for us if we're not willing to protect them in mind, body, and spirit, in the physical as well as in the spirit as well, and then protect them economically when we've lost many of those who paved the way for us, that they languish in nursing homes, whether it be the great Ben Yakinen, whether it be Brother Steve Coakley, as I heard Dick Gregory say just the other day, that we are failing to protect those who are supposed to be our lights in this darkness. We're failing to protect those who are supposed to be bringing us the information and the inspiration. So it's one thing to say you love them, but it's another thing to prove that you love them by your actions. As the old saying goes, our actions will speak louder than words. But let me open up the lines. Take your thoughts, questions, comments. 410-761-1592, as the great Baba Dick Gregory says. One thing to be loving, but can you be lovable? And far too often, we've let many of our great ones languish in nursing homes and die. And nursing homes, as we saw with the great Chancellor Williams, who wrote the book, The Destruction of Black Civilization. We see right now Dr. Frances Cress Welsing fighting for her home in Washington, D.C. But with all of those black men and women in Washington, D.C., she should not have to fight for anything. But let me open up the lines. Take your thoughts, questions, comments, because y'all know you're more concerned about Jay-Z, Slave Z, Kanye West, Kerry Washington, and somebody else. But not those who have really paved the way, blood, sweat, and tears for us as a people, man. Let me open up the lines. Take your thoughts, questions, comments. Good afternoon, caller. You in the state of the city.
Hello?
How you doing, my elder?
Wonderful.
Good. Thoughts and comments, sir.
Well, I know from what you just said that we lost a young brother.
Yes, sir.
And that's a sad state of affairs as a people that we allow that to happen to our people.
That's right.
But I'm concerned about you and the way you handle yourself is wonderful.
Thank you.
But I'm saying, like I tell a lot of people, they need to guard you, protect you.
Yes, sir.
Because you and Baptiste is the only one out there that I know of is telling the truth.
Yes, sir.
So what I want to say that I believe in a black God.
Yes.
And I believe that God will help me and many more like me to protect our young, because they're killing our babies.
That's right. Yes, sir.
So when they start killing our babies, it was one time they destroyed a lot of our churches.
That's right.
Instead, we didn't retaliate and did nothing.
Right. Yes, sir.
So what I'm saying, brother, is that I hope my black God will destroy them, them beasts, because they're animals. Thank you for listening.
All right. Thank you for your call, my elder. Appreciate you now. With that, we'll take more of your calls. 410-761-1592. Get in where you fit in.